get some people in here before I start yakking away. I apologize for the people I hung up the phone on. I gotta learn the controls on the live on YouTube. I'm getting there. I'm learning all the little controls and stuff. Learned how to do the thumbnail. I got some background music for tonight. We're gonna do some questions. I'm gonna do some diagrams for you. We'll see. Hopefully I didn't ruin the live by hanging up on everybody. We'll see. It takes a little while for the algorithm to get people into the room. Got me with my mouth full. I got a late dinner tonight, so I was rushing trying to get this live going. So I've been a mechanic for 40 years. I've taught automotive from time to time. I'm going to do like an automotive electrical 101 basic electrical tonight. We're going to go over batteries, alternators, starter circuit, relays, how they work, that kind of stuff. So we'll wait. Let's see if we get some more people into the room. We're going to spin for a piece of artwork tonight. So we're going to ask questions. I might have messed myself up here tonight because I launched a short, so everyone knew we were starting at 6, and then I messed up the one of the controls, and I had this big old thing over my face, so I had to end the live. So we'll see if we get, as you come into the room, would you put down what your experience level is? No experience, some experience, you're a master tech, whatever that is, and it'll help me kind of know how to teach the class. 1 hour class, we're going to spin the wheel for a piece of free artwork tonight. So you have a chance to win a piece of artwork. So I've been a mechanic for 40 years. I was an ASC certified master mechanic. I've done some teaching. So I wanted to put this out here and create a community. And hi, Rebecca, welcome to the room. Thanks for being here tonight. If you guys would, hey sports kid, how you doing? If you guys would, leave some comments, what your experience level is, what your interests are as far as learning what kind of automotive that you would like to learn. If you guys would, it helps. I learned today, I didn't know this. If you hit the like button as you come in, it'll really push the algorithm out and we get more people in the room. So if everybody would, as they're coming in, double tap the like button so we can get some traction here. So I'm interested in cars. Okay. When I grow up, I want to be a police officer. Well, that's a great thing to be. You know, I work with police officers all the time. That's what I do for a living. Is I build police cars for county. So I take cars and I do all the electrical and put all the bells and whistles in the police cars. Subscribe. Thanks for the subscription. Appreciate that. Anybody that's here, if you're not subscribed, get subscribed because we're going to have some really good training coming up. It's going to be kind of like a lecture type class, and I'll try to answer all the questions I can as we go. And what I think we're going to do is I'm going to ask some questions along the way, and whoever gets to answer right, we're going to spin a wheel, and if it lands on go big, there's a bunch of pieces on the wheel. If it lands on go big, you're going to win a piece of artwork. I do drip art, pour art as just a hobby. So we'll do that. So if you guys would share out the live, click on the like button if you would, because that helps us. It gets more people into the room. And I love your live streams. Thanks for saying that, Rebecca. You know, I'm really trying to get a good just bring some value to the lives. And you know, I have a lot of information to give, and I got some new equipment, so it makes things a little easier. Thanks for all the hearts. Whoever dropped the hearts, I don't know how to tell who does that. Oh, that's something else we'll bring up. If you find some value in tonight's live, if you would send me a super thanks. I just got here. What do you do? Okay, we're going to do automotive teaching tonight about automotive electrical. We're going to go through starter circuit, the charging system, batteries. I'm going to go over how to charge a battery. I got a new battery charger today, so we're going to go over that and what I think about it. So that's what that's about, Lakin. If you would, comment what your skill level is. If you're beginner, medium, master mechanic, whatever that is. Oh, cool. Okay, great. So anyway, that's what we're doing with the lives. I'm going to start doing on Saturday, get this right because I keep saying the wrong night. On Friday nights, we're doing trivia. It's just going to be a fun thing, trivia, spin the wheel for beginner. Good. I love teaching beginners because that's how you learn is you start somewhere. Yep, okay, I won't go nowhere. Yeah, I shut the live down tonight because I did something with one of the controls and it left a big old block over my face. So I don't know what that was about. So I thought I lost my audience, but I didn't. So I'm Go Big. I run Go Big Garage. I've been a mechanic for 40 years. I've done teaching. So we're going to do some teaching tonight. And then I was going to say on Saturday nights, I always get this wrong. I don't know why I can't get the day right. Friday nights at 7, we're doing automotive trivia. You answer questions, get the questions right, you get to spin the wheel. At the end of the live on Saturday nights, we're spinning the wheel for tools. We're spinning the wheel for tools. This coming week, we're giving away a snap-on wrench. So come join the live. Please share the live, like the live, stop talking. Okay, I'll stop talking. Well, you're going to get tired of hearing me talking because we're going to do a lot of that tonight. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So we're going to start in, I'm going to tell some stories along the way so you guys kind of will put some, a little bit of my experience over the years into this. And I got a board right here that, where I'm just going to give, there's just some notes so I can have kind of an outline of what we're doing. So we're going to start with the battery. Pretty basic. What's a battery, you know? People talk about batteries and, you have to replace them. They have a lot of problems, dead batteries and what have, but what does the battery, so I'm going to use this little battery tonight. This is a small little battery. We're going to hook the charger up to it. And we're going to talk about a charger that I think is a good deal. Anyway, so what's the battery's job? Why do we have a battery in a car? You know, it's over, man, too late. So why do we have a battery in a car? The purpose of a battery is storage. It stores electrical energy so it's there and available when you need it. And usually what you'll find with batteries when they fail is when you go to start the car. And why is that? Why is that? Because why does it fail when you try to start the car? Why doesn't it fail when you're driving down the road with the headlights on? So the starter is the biggest amp draw in the vehicle. Some starters, especially diesels, they can draw up to like 700-800 amps. So that's a big amount of current compared to like a headlight. And when the car is running, the alternator is putting electricity back into the battery. So that's the purpose of the battery, is just to store electricity. Thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate you saying that. We get some riffraff in here. People like to say odd things, but we're gonna get a moderator in here. So we're trying to figure that part out because we still haven't figured out all the controls on the live. We're gonna get a moderator in here where we can just kick those people out when they're being obnoxious because they just like to do it for some reason. Anyway, so what kills a battery? What makes a battery fail? Over time, you watch them every day. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah, we might be able to do that. I'm going to actually have some people come on here with me. I'm going to invite people on. Once I figure out who has a little bit of experience and can get on here and do a good job, I'm going to do that. Because I just kind of shoot from the hip with most of this because I've been around for so long. Yeah. So before we get going, I'll tell you about a little project I got going on. And if you guys would hit the likes. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The super likes. When you hit a super like, it's like buying me a cup of coffee. It's like saying, hey, thanks. Here's a cup of coffee. And what we do with those funds from the super likes, we're buying tools to give away at the live. So I appreciate. I did like. Okay, thank you. And I'm not really good on the controls on the lives yet. So bear with me. So that's what the super likes are all about. So I'll tell you about a little project I got going on right now. I kind of was forced into it, kind of. So when I was a kid, every Christmas I wanted a mini bike. Every Christmas, and I never got a mini bike. And so, hi garden party. And then, so recently I sold one of my motorcycles. And so when I did it, the guy that was wanting to buy it was a 97 Harley Davidson Road King. And the guy didn't really have enough money to purchase it, but he really wanted to buy it. So he wanted to do some trading. So he told me, he goes, I got this little pocket bike that's worth about $400 or $500 if you want to do some trading. And I said, okay, bring it. We'll see what we can do. So anyway, my grandsons are now getting to the age to where they need a little mini bike. So I traded it off, but I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the motor off it, because somebody put a 212cc motor on this thing, and it goes like 50, 60 miles an hour. It'll pull the front wheels off the ground. So I think I'm going to make that one of the projects. Maybe I'll do a pocket bike. A pocket bike is like a pit bike where people will use them at the car shows to run back and forth to get stuff, and they're just little mini bikes, little just like just a little mini bike, and adults can ride them. Oh my gosh, really? I'm sorry to hear that, Haiti. I'm sorry to hear that. We're lucky to live where we live. I'm not much of a political guy, but I'm not, I'm not about war. Yeah, I get that. Can't sleep safe. Yeah, God bless you. Hope that helps you. So anyway, the motorcycle is, I'm going to tear it. I think what I'm going to do is if we get some traction on the live, I'll quit yakking and go to the electrical here in a minute. And so I think what I'm going to do is tear the fenders off of it and tear it all down and repaint it and do his name on the back. And he likes my Harley, so I might do some like Harley stuff on it. Maybe put like a fake tank on it or something. We're gonna do something really cool with the mini bike project. So I can actually work on that in here in the studio. The studio's not. I don't know if you guys. Maybe I should show you. It's kind of a mess right now, but I have a studio. It's a spare room that I use for all my YouTube stuff for making videos. So right now we're shooting B-roll. I'll show you this real quick. Let me flip this around. So I got a really good light. We're shooting B-roll, and then I got my laptop here. I know we're here for automotive tonight, but I just want you guys to see. So I leave and then usually I got a big screen behind here. I don't have it set up right now, but anyway. So we're gonna do the mini bike project. So if you guys see any videos posted about and interested, go check out the mini bike project. Well, it's gonna be kind of cool. Okay, so let's get going. We'll go ahead and get going. Has anybody got anything to say before we get started on the training tonight? Got any little areas you want me to talk about? And then also on the lives, what I'd like to start doing is at the end of the live, the last 20 minutes or so, start taking question and answers from you guys. And we're going to name ourselves the Go Big Crew. So if you're here, you're part of the Go Big Crew. How you like that? So we're going to start doing question and answers for the people that are on the lives. At the end of the live, about the last 20 minutes, we'll take one question at a time on down the line, and I'll do my best to answer them. And a lot of times I can save you a lot of money. I'm not kidding you, because I've walked people through so many automotive things over the years, and we've got some things coming. We're going to create a membership where you get some value for your membership, where you're going to get some a good data, and you're going to get access to me personally. So if you do the membership, we haven't launched it yet, but when we do the membership, I'm going to offer a 30-minute phone call to a 40-year-old mechanic. We can even do FaceTime if you guys want. So we're going to offer scheduled phone calls for tough situations, something you're fighting, trying to get through, and you can't get it fixed, been to 5 shops, whatever the situation is. So we're going to start that with our membership pretty soon. And you guys, give me some input on what you think a bargain is for a membership, because I don't even know. I was thinking like $5 or something like that. $5 over the year would be like, or like $8. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. But anyway, we'll quit talking about that stuff. But there is a membership coming. We're going to offer some PDF files that will help you with your car maintenance. It'll help you with when you go to the mechanic to know what to say to him. That will save you time and that kind of stuff. So those kind of things are coming. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stand tonight. Just sitting in this chair drives me crazy. It just makes it easier when I'm teaching to stand for some reason. I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm a teacher. Never got to be the teacher. I always got yelled at by the teacher. Usually he was telling me, quit messing around, go outside, you're disturbing the classroom. So that's how I end up being a mechanic. I can be loud and do whatever I want. I don't get thrown out. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about sulfation in batteries. What is battery sulfation? So usually what kills most batteries, there's 3 things that kills most batteries, and that is usually vibration. They're not properly mounted and they're just bouncing around there. It creates a lot of problems for batteries. That's why they're mounted, and for safety they're mounted that way. And the other thing is heat and cold. But the biggest killer of batteries is not being charged correctly. That's why a lot of times when you have a car that you don't use a lot and it just sits there, maybe it's your secondary car or whatever, the battery goes bad because the plates get sulfated. And what sulfation is it builds up, there's plates inside the battery, and the sulfation is kind of like a scaling that happens on the plates. So the worst thing you can do for a battery is leave it uncharged, because over time it's going to fail. And then when you go to charge it, the sulfation won't allow the battery to charge. And then you have to end up going and getting a new battery because the battery just sat dead for too long. But I'm going to teach you something tonight. They have some chargers now that can blast the sulfation off those plates. And I'm going to teach you another trick that I learned about how you can use a high amperage to blast that sulfation off those batteries. Okay. The cost of batteries. Let's talk about that for a minute. When I was a kid, you could buy a battery for $40. I'm not kidding you. Batteries anymore. I'll answer that question in just a minute, Jayla. Thanks for the subscription too. Appreciate that. So, where was I at? Oh, the cost of batteries. Cost of batteries anymore are crazy. There's some batteries out there that are $350 for a battery. So if you have a $350 battery that you let sit in the garage on the pavement, and you went to go use it and it's dead, and you try to charge it and it won't charge, I can show you a way to bring that battery back. I'm going to save you some money tonight. That's what the membership is all about, because I'm going to be able to I'm going to be able to save you guys some money on a lot of stuff. Just basic automotive knowledge is going to save you a lot of stuff, a lot of money. So cost of batteries. And if you don't know, when you go to buy a battery, you have to take a battery in for the core. So don't be getting rid of your battery and go buy a new one. You need that battery for the core. And I'm going to talk a minute about safety in the garage with batteries. I've seen this so many times in my friends' shops and shops that I've worked in, and it's dangerous. It is very dangerous to leave batteries laying on the floor or on the bench in your shop without them being protected. The terminals, if you take a battery like this one and you arc from here to here, it creates a massive spark. And if you take a wrench, or here's like, you just, and the problem is, if, let's say this is sitting on the floor and you got a bunch of pieces of metal or just the lid to the barbecue, anything that's metal, the cat comes in and jumps up there and knocks that off, and it lands right here like this, that piece of metal will glow like a heating element in a matter of 30 seconds. So, when you have your battery stored in in your garage or around your house, right here, just take some tape and insulate the top of these. That way if something falls on there, you drop a wrench. I learned this. This is how I learned it. I had a battery sitting in the shop. It was sitting by the bench down over on the ground. I was working on the bench. I had a big old pile of wrenches there, and I was wrenching away. And I knocked one off of there, and it went straight across. It wasn't like this type of battery. It was a regular like truck battery with a big post here. That wrench landed. What's the chances? But it will happen. That wrench landed right here, and it went pow. It sounded like a 110 voltage, like you would hear coming out of a wall. And you know what? One night during the lives, I'm gonna actually do that on purpose, so you guys can see what kind of an arc that creates. It's serious business. Batteries are dangerous, very dangerous. They're not dangerous if you understand them. Let me back up so you can see a little better. They're not dangerous if you understand them and you do what you're supposed to do with them. So like this, if you're going to store this in the garage, just put a little rubber cap on here or wrap it with tape, and then you don't have a problem. It's real easy. It might save your house. I couldn't imagine how many houses burned down, because I know guys that have 20, 30 batteries laying around the shop. And all it takes is one time for that to happen. It could burn your garage down. You got a $20,000, $30,000 hot rod in the garage and you got batteries laying all around. You're just asking for that garage to burn down. You ever seen a battery? What happens when it stays like that? It'll melt this thing on the ground and catch on fire. It might explode. So anyway, there's my little spiel about safety. The other thing is, when you're messing with batteries, you're jump starting batteries, or you're moving them around, you really should have a safety shield on. I know people preach that a lot, but I've worked in shops, and I'll tell you 2 quick stories about that as we go here. Is my stepdad, one time he was working, thanks for the subscription, appreciate that. Yeah, that's serious. Garden party. So my dad, he was working in a construction site, and he had to take the trucks, out to the site, and he got in a truck one day, and he wasn't a mechanic, he didn't really know nothing. And one of the trucks was dead, and you had to open this thing, and it was down the hole. So he went down in there and got a pair of jumper cables. It was kind of dark, and he went down in there to jump that battery, and he got the polarity backwards. And when it arced, that battery blew up. It blew acid in his face. They had to wrap his eyes with bandages and gauze and this stuff, and he had to keep that on for like 8 days. He could have been blind from it. So when you're messing with batteries, respect them, because they can really hurt you if you don't pay attention. You really got to pay attention to what you're doing. And while we're talking about it, when you remove a battery, you got to remember this is so important, and I'm going to explain why right now. Is always disconnect the negative or the black cable, but it's not always a black cable. You want to see that it's actually negative, and the reason being, I'm going to show you right here. If you remove this cable first, and then you have a wrench here, and that touches metal on the car, nothing's going to happen. But if this one is connected, which is the ground, and you start doing with this red one, and this wrench touches metal, it's going to do just like I said before. It's going to blow a spark off the end of that wrench. I've seen them actually blast the end of a wrench off. So when this positive is hooked up, and you become the ground, this ground is connected, So it's just like going from here to here. When this touches the car anywhere metal from here to metal, it's just like going straight across here like that. So you always want to take the negative off first, and when you go back on, the negative goes on last. That way this is already tight, so if you touch metal, it doesn't matter. And then when you hook this one up, you can't create a problem. That's why you hear people say you always disconnect the negative when you're messing with a battery. That's the purpose of that. And we're gonna show that. We're gonna visually do this some night in a live, and I'm gonna turn the lights off and I'm gonna show you, and you're gonna be blown away what kind of arc can come off of an automotive battery. It's serious. The other story I was going to tell you about batteries is I was working in a shop one time, and one thing you want to remember with batteries is this: if they smell, if you lift up a hood and it smells like rotten eggs, don't mess with that battery. Let it cool off. Don't do nothing with it, because when you're smelling that thing is off-gassing, and that's the most dangerous state a battery can be in, because all it takes is a spark or a flame source. Somebody walks up and lights a cigarette standing right there, it'll blow up like a bomb. I'm not kidding you when I say, it'll blow up. It will blow up. It'll sound like a bomb when it goes off. They're dangerous, so you got to respect them. So if you smell that means the thing has gotten overcharged. It's got a short in the battery or something. You don't want to mess with that thing until it cools off, because one little spark messing with those cables at that battery is all it takes to light that thing off. And I'll tell you a story how this happened. Thanks for somebody's dropping something. I'm not sure what that is, but I appreciate that. So I was working in a shop and that situation happened. A guy brought a car in. We had some new guys that weren't really educated on it, and it was overcharging. It was in the summertime. It was like 110 outside. The guy pulls the car in. He pulled it up, and it was off gassing. And when he did it, he did something and created a spark, and the battery blew up. And I heard it, and I was 4 stalls down. And he didn't get hurt. He got some acid on him, and we had a wash station, so he's able just to take his stuff off and get into the wash. But it blew a piece of plastic off the top of that battery this big, and it was stuck in the ceiling. So, treat batteries with respect, because they're no joke. You can get hurt. But if you understand what you're supposed to do, you won't get hurt. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've never had a problem. I've never hurt myself. We did the take trip, reviving old batteries. Okay, here's the deal. So these new NOCO, and I've been pushing that. Yeah, that's why you're leery about jumping a battery. You should be, because and we're gonna go over that. Let me Jala Juju, are you still here? If you are, let me answer your question. Are you still in the chat? Because I can only see how many people. I can't see who it is that's in the chat. So this guy's saying that or woman, I'm not sure, this person actually put window washing fluid into my radiator, and I put gas in my oil tank. What do I do? The windshield washer, it probably won't create a lot of problems. The best thing to do is just go ahead and drain the radiator, drain it, and get fresh coolant back in it. I would just drain it. It probably won't do too much to it. But putting gas in your oil tank, that's a problem. If you have gas in the oil tank, you need to drain the oil. I would drain the oil, and then I'd probably put 2 quarts of fresh oil in it and drain it again, and then go ahead and put a full thing of oil in it. You're gonna have to flush. You're gonna have to flush the oil. That's the only way you can get. You don't want to leave that gas in there. No, it can thin it out, and it can cause problems. And just having gas and oil alone, if you used to have some kind of ignition source, you could actually create some damage to the motor. So you're gonna have to drain that for sure. Anyway, reviving old batteries. So I talked earlier about how sulfation can damage a battery where it won't charge. Well, these new smart chargers they have now, they have a repair mode on them, and what they do, if you get a battery that charges, then it goes dead in a day or two, something like that, it will. The sulfation is what's causing that. So these new ones they have, there's a way to enter, and I'll show you tonight. This one I have here doesn't have that on it, but the NOCO 10 does. You can push this button and it takes it into repair mode, and you leave it in there overnight. And what it does, it pulses that battery with high voltage in little pulses for like, overnight, sometimes a few hours. It just depends. It knows how long to do it. And what you can do, you can take a battery that you were going to have to replace and just throw away, and you can bring it back. And these battery chargers they're coming down to around $85 right in there. So for $85, you have a way to revive a battery that you would have had to pay $200 for a new one. So, it's a good thing to do. And then I'm going to teach you another trick. You got to listen to what I'm saying, though, because you got to do this correctly. If you do it incorrectly, you're going to burn up the battery. You get a 50 amp battery charger that'll put out 50 amps. So you have some that have a start circuit on them, and you have to be there and pay attention to what you're doing. It takes about 5 hours. But you can take a 50 amp battery charger, hook the battery charger up, and run it on 50 amps for 15 minutes. Take the caps off, all the caps off. Eyewear when you're doing that because you get acid in your eyes. Take all the caps off. If it's a lead acid battery or even a sealed battery, they still have caps on them. Take them off, hook it up to 50 amps, run it, but you have to actually time it. You can't go, oh, it was an hour or whatever. No, 15 minutes because it's going to start boiling. And it won't hurt the battery. 15 minutes at 50 amps and then let it rest for an hour. Another 15 minutes at 50 amps, let it rest for an hour. Do that 5 times. 9 times out of 10, you'll bring that battery back. Because what you're doing, you're blasting the sulfation off the battery. And now after you do that, you put a trickle charger on it, and you'll be surprised how many batteries that you'll save doing that. But these NOCOs have that system built in them. They're automatic, so you don't have to keep track of the time. You don't have to do any of that stuff. So, that works out in your favor. So that's you can bring, so many batteries are going to landfill, and so many people are paying because they go in, they load test the battery, and they say, oh, the battery's bad. But they don't try to get the sulfation off the plates. You can get the sulfation off the plates. Once you get the sulfation off the plates, it sinks to the bottom of the battery, and then the battery will charge again. It just has plates in there. They're lead, and the sulfation builds up. Just think of it like, you get hard water deposits on your certain things. It's kind of like that. It gets a scale on there, so then the liquid can't get on the lead, so it can't charge the battery. How do I remove a pop-up camper? Yeah, you're funny. That's my daughter. Okay, somebody asked this question. Is it true if you put a battery directly on concrete in long periods of time, it will effectively the performance and make it doesn't last longer than what it's supposed to do? No, I believe that is not true. I think what happens is just by having it set creates that. Because the concrete doesn't have any kind of content, it doesn't connect any way with the battery. The only thing that can create that in a way, it can do that a little bit, is in the winter time. Concrete gets really cold, so it stays cold, so it's like a big ice cube, and cold and hot is one of the killers of batteries. But do I think it's because it's concrete? No, I don't think the concrete actually does that myself. I think it's just an old wise tale. But a lot of people will say that. I've heard that before. The thing is, what kills the battery is not charging it. If you take a battery out of something and you're not going to be using it, then put it on a trickle charger. They got these, like I'll show you this one right now. I'm not going to go through it right now, but I'm going to show you. They sell this. This is a NOCO premium battery charger. It's a trickle charger. It's around $30. And this is, you just take one of these, you plug it in, it's automatic, you hook it up to the battery and walk away. It'll bring it up to charge. And then once it's up to charge, it shuts it off. If the voltage, you can leave this on for 10 months if you want. It's a battery tender and charger, 1 amp. So I bought this for my motorcycle, but I think I'm going to give one of these away at one of the drawings if we get enough We get enough super likes or super thanks where they are, we'll be able to give these away during the drawings. But they're real portable. They're super small. They plug in. But I'm going to go over the functions of this at the end of the live, so you guys can understand. So basically, you just plug this thing into the wall. This light comes on red and it pulses, and it just keeps doing that until the battery comes to full charge and it turns green. And once it turns green, then it goes into the trickle charge phase. So if you have a motorhome or a motorcycle or say a four-wheel drive that you don't use a lot, you just take one of these, you plug it in the wall, and you plug right in the battery and walk away and forget about it. It'll keep it up to charge and it won't. So you won't be buying a new battery every time you turn around, because, sorry, I can't see those numbers. You won't be buying a battery every time you turn around because you left it uncharged. That's what kills batteries, because they're not being charged. If you leave a battery uncharged, it's going to go dead. And in a matter of months, the sulfation, probably just a month is all it takes, the sulfation starts. So these are like, it's silly not to have one of these. I'm going to get a couple of them. They're $30. A battery is $300. Put one of these on there, the battery will last 2 to 3 times as long. And we'll put links to these, but I'm not making this about that. I just wanted to make that part of the battery teaching part. Hot batteries. Okay, and let's talk about maximum cranking time, and I've seen that kill batteries too, and I've actually seen it burn the cables off cars because people don't know any better. When you hear a car that's low on charge or you're jump starting it, and you hear it and it's not cranking normally, instead of going wah no, it's going wah 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 wah. It's barely cranking. When the voltage drops in a battery like that, the amperage spikes. And when that happens, you can burn up the starter. You can burn the cables. I've seen guys light the cables on fire because they're cranking away, and it has some other problem. And instead of trying to fix what the problem is, it probably has no fuel, no spark. They're just cranking away thinking, if I crank on this thing long enough, it's going to start. I work in a shop, and just a matter of not too long ago, I heard a guy down there cranking on a big, heavy piece of equipment. And they had they had air stuck in the fuel system. And so they were just cranking on it and cranking on it and cranking on it. And so I heard him down there, and I told one of the guys, man, he keeps cranking on that thing. He's going to be putting a starter in it. And I could hear him, but he's way down on the other end of the shop. So about 2 hours later, I see him come walking up with a parts requisition. I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, that starter failed on that thing. And I was thinking, I knew it was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. My dad taught me that. God, so mad I didn't put it on. It's an old wives' tale that even on a charger, you should shake the battery as to get the air off the bottom. Yeah, it might be it would be. Actually, I don't know. I've never done that myself. I've never had to shake a battery to get the air off the bottom. Usually when you see bubbles in there, it's coming from the hydrogen that's being released as it's being charged. That's where the bubbles come from. Yeah, that used to be an old wives' tale. The old guys believe that. Don't put that on that concrete. You're going to ruin that battery. And I think it was more about not being charged and not being the temperature of the battery that caused that. So maximum crank time. So this is how you keep from ruining your battery and ruining your starter. 10 to 15 seconds maximum. As you're trying to get stuff started, as you're working on it, if you're cranking on it, count to 10 and let off. Let it set for 15, 20 seconds. Go back to 10 and let off. Usually if that thing doesn't start by about the 5th or 6th crank, you need to start looking at what's going on. It's not about, it ain't the battery, it ain't the starter. You got either no fuel, no compression, you got something going on more than that. Cranking on it ain't going to make it run. It should fire within about 6 seconds of crank, the engine should be running. And if it's not, you need to start looking at, diagnosing the problem. Why does it not start when it cranks? It could be low fuel pressure. It could be weak spark, bad plugs, bad coils. There's a million things it can be. But remember these three things, especially if you're just learning. There's only three things that a car requires to run: spark, fuel, and compression. If you have those three things, that car will start. Spark, you got to have good spark. You got to have fuel to the cylinder, the cylinders that's on there. I don't care if it's a carbureted car, fuel injection, whatever it is, and compression. Without those three things, that car will not run. So that's something to think about. If you got one that doesn't want to crank, it's not cranking right, start looking at those things. Go look at the spark, see if you have good spark. A spark should be blue, not yellow. A lot of people say, oh, I got good spark. A yellow spark is not good spark. When you see spark, it should be blue and sharp, and you should hear it snap. Fuel. Here's one that a lot of people miss: bad fuel. I've worked on a car one time for a week trying to figure out why it wouldn't start, and it had bad fuel in it. You pour it out on a can. That's how you can test fuel, is put it on a can and try to light it with a lighter. If you light it and you put your lighter on there, it acts like it's water. It's bad fuel. I worked on a car for a week one time, and an old guy taught me that. He said, "Did you check that fuel?" And I go, "It smells fine." He goes, "No, you need to check it." He goes, "It could have water in it, whatever." He goes, "Do you have spark and compression?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Check the fuel." He goes, "Do a fuel sample, pull some fuel out, put it on a bottle or on a..." It had no good gas in it. Yeah, that's what can cause it. Bad gas. Water and gas, that's another one that'll kill you. I had a truck one time that a guy had poured a bottle of beer in this guy's tank to be a jerk. And this guy brought me his truck, and what would happen, just every once in a while you go to start in the morning, it wouldn't start. And what was happening, it took me a long time to figure it out too. I mean, I was just everywhere on that thing trying to figure it out. And what it ended up doing, I went to pull a sample and I seen the water in it. Is what happens, water settles to the bottom. When it goes in gas, it goes to the bottom. Well, on the older cars, a lot of the pickups were right on the bottom of the tank. And what happens is that water will move around like a big cloud in there. And then you'll park just right to where that water goes underneath the intake for the pump. And when you go to crank on in the morning, you're sucking water. So it took a long time, but that's another one that will do that. Water can create a lot of problems. So anyway, when you're cranking on a car, when you're cranking on a starter over and over and over and over, you're risking the possibility of having to buy a starter. And starters aren't no cheaper and some of them are real pain to change. So anyway, we'll kind of end on that part, just the battery part of that. Anybody got any questions about batteries that you want me to talk about or go over? This is going to be a pretty basic automotive class. We're trying to keep it pretty simple. So right now, we've learned how to do battery safety. We understand what causes them to fail. We know, how to protect them so we don't create a fire in our garage. And all it takes is a roll of tape, man. Everybody's got one of these. You don't want to burn your house down because you just didn't take 10 seconds to wrap the terminals with this. I got one sitting on the floor right now. I was just pointing out to somebody that's here that I need to wrap that because it's just sitting on the floor. And max cranking time, don't burn your cables off your batteries. Eyewear, make sure you're wearing eyewear. You should be wearing a face shield when you're messing with batteries. Absolutely. Because you're dealing with a hydrogen bomb. If the conditions are right, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've never had one blow up on me, but they do. So, you need to be, just be respectful that a battery is no joke. It can cause you damage. That piece of that top off that battery, if that would hit that guy in the face, it probably would have killed him. So anyway. Okay, let's go to alternators. Anybody have any questions before I go on to alternators and what they do and give you some advice on alternators? Hang on just a second. I think I lost my other camera. That's okay. We'll just keep going. I was shooting B-roll tonight for later on. I think I got to get me a plug-in for the battery so it doesn't have to run off the battery. I don't have any, but I do have a question about wiretaps insulation. Explain to me what you're talking about, wiretaps insulation. Are you talking about butt connectors where you repair a wire? Give me some information on what you mean. Groot Max. Give me some information on what you're talking about. Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to go on to the alternator. Okay, to double tape the wiring harness thicker. So I don't like to use tape on a harness. It depends on what you're doing. I'm not sure what you're doing, but normally when you make a repair with a wire, you want to use butt connector, solder, and then shrink tube. And shrink tube you put it on the cable before you make the repair. Kyler, all right, I can help you with oscilloscopes. So it's been a while. You don't see a lot of oscilloscopes anymore because the automotive, the computers now, they know when there's a misfire. But if you're talking about oscilloscope as like a dual trace scope, like on a Snap-on dual trace, we can get into that. You know what? I'm going to write this down. It's probably not going to get to it tonight, but I'm going to write this down for next week. So we can talk about. And for those of you that don't know, all an oscilloscope is, it measures voltage over time. So it measures voltage this way and it measures time. That's all oscilloscope does. And it doesn't matter what voltage you're looking at. Doesn't matter. We used to use them a lot in the automotive industry for doing tune-up work. And they were very helpful. Because nowadays the scanners will let you know what cylinder it's on and it's missing. You used to have to figure that out, but now the scanners tell you all that, so it's a lot easier. Okay, so let's talk about the alternator. Oh, let me ask you about you asked me about the thickness on the harness. What I like to do on harnesses, if I make a repair, like say I got 2 or 3 wires. First of all, I use metal, non-insulated butt connectors. I solder them. Go look at my video. I got a video on soldering that's on the channel. It's really good. It shows you how to do a really good connection with solder. And then what you do is you take a big piece of heat shrink, which is like this really heavy plastic stuff that when you heat it up, it shrinks up. Put it on the cable, make your repair, heat shrink the wires, and then pull that big heavy piece of heat shrink over all that and then heat it up. Does a nice, that's industry standard. That's how a good qualified certified master mechanic would do it, because then you won't have a problem later. So we can do a live and show how to do that. But if you go look at my video, there's a video on the Go Big Garage. It says something about soldering, how to solder or something like that. There's a really good video I did on that. But if you have any questions, come back next week and we can talk about it. Okay, the alternator. Let's talk about alternator. What is an alternator and what does it do and why does it do its thing? The alternator is part of the electrical system, and why they call it an alternator is because it runs on AC current, alternator current. Just like your house current is alternating current. Alternator current is created with the rate alternator, and then it converts that to DC voltage to charge the battery. So what is the job of the alternator? The job of the alternator is to create current and electricity when it's needed to charge the battery. That's what charges your battery as you're driving down the road. The alternator, it's spinning on a belt when your car's running, it's spinning away. Just think of it kind of like when you see those big old generators, like when you go across the Tehachapi. It's the same concept. Big old thing turns, alternates electricity, and then it takes that electricity, and then there's controls inside the alternator that knows when to give based on voltage. There's a voltage regulator in there that watches voltage all the time. When the voltage drops to around 11 volts, 13.6 is usually charge system voltage. Now it can be as high as 15, 16 volts. They've gotten higher over the years. But what the alternator does, it's sitting there turning, it's not doing nothing, and the voltage regulator is watching the battery. When the battery goes down, it says, oh, hey, the battery's getting low, let's give it some electricity. So it has a set of windings in there. Those windings are connected, it builds a magnetic field, and then it charges the battery. Once the battery gets up to a certain level, the alternator says, hey, we're up to where we need to be, and it stops charging. So think of it just like a automatic charger going down the road. It's just basically keeping your battery charged. So when you turn the key off, the next time you go to start it, there's enough current in that battery to get the car running. Okay, let's talk about some basic things about alternators. So alternators are one of those things. I got a question here I'll get to in just a second. Alternators is one of those things that you can do on your own. You don't have to know a bunch about automotive to change an alternator. Let me show you how simple it is. Let me tell you how it goes in a shop. And that's what I'm trying to teach people is when you wait for things to happen and you take this shop, this is how it happens. Okay, you go out to get in your car, battery's dead. You're like, oh man. So you got to take this shop. The shop's they're not just gonna say, oh, this is the problem. No, they're gonna charge you to figure it out. So it could be the battery. So they're gonna have to charge the battery up because it's dead because the alternator went bad. And then they may sell you a battery, and then they might tell you, hey, the alternator's bad, we're gonna have to change the alternator. And they're not gonna do that for free. They're gonna make you pay diagnosis time to tell you what that is. And so, yeah, it goes in there. Yeah, I got my little helper in here, help me with the camera. So the shop will say, they'll call you and say, battery's dead, we're gonna have to charge the battery, charge it up, they load test it, it's either good or bad, it could be bad, and they might tell you it needs a battery, but by the way, the alternator's bad, so we need to change the alternator. So they're gonna charge you diagnosis time, they're gonna charge you to replace the battery, and then they're gonna charge you to install the alternator. That repair right there can be $700-800. So if you need an alternator, it's not hard to do, and we'll do one so you guys can see. An alternator has one big bolt that goes through like that, and it's got a bolt down here that makes it adjust back and forth. Some of them are just solid now because of serpentine belt. So it's really just two bolts that hold it in there. You just get a ratchet on there, take the bolt out, take that lower bolt out, the alternator comes out. And it has one big wire with a nut on it. You take it off, and then it's got a little plug. So you unplug this, take this wire off, take those two bolts off, you got the alternator in your hand. You just saved yourself about $200. Flat rate, shop labor in California now is $200 an hour. So if they charge you an hour, which that's what they're going to charge you normally, an hour minimum to change the alternator, that's $200. You could do that in your driveway with a set of wrenches. So you can do some of these repairs on your own, So I'm going to show you that. Let me talk a little bit about, I wish I had an alternator right here in my hand. I need to start doing that when we do these live so I can kind of show you guys. And I'll try to start doing that. Every alternator has a big fat wire that comes off of it. And I call that the output wire. So like I said before, the alternator's spinning, it needs to give electricity to the battery. That big wire, it's about a 8 or 10 gauge wire. It goes directly to the battery. Somehow it's connected to the battery, usually straight over to the battery. Sometimes they'll run it down to the starter on the big positive lug to the starter because that's connected straight to the battery. So that big lug on there should always have power right there. So when you take a alternator off, you need to take that negative cable off the battery because that big wire that I'm talking about that you have to remove, that's hot and it'll create sparks. So you take the ground off so then it doesn't do that. So you take that wire off, you unplug the 2-wire connector, 2 bolts, and it's in your hand. And let me explain to you about what the 2-wire connector is. Alternators are really basic, 3 wires. Big fat wire, that's the output wire of the battery. Has 2 little small wires on a connector. And what that is, that's the computer or the regulator's way to turn the field on and off that creates electricity. You know, now they're controlled by the computer a lot too, where the computer will say, hey, voltage is getting low, ground that little wire on the alternator to build the magnetic field to create it, to make it start charging again. So, you know, so that alternators are really basic. They're not hard to do. A lot of times when you change the alternator, you might have to change the piece on the end, you know, where the belt goes. You just hit it with an impact gun, or, you know, take it to somebody that has an impact, or sometimes you put it in a vise and get them, but usually impact gun is the best way to do it. But sometimes you do have to change the pulley piece for the belt. So alternators can be done. You can do, I don't care if you've never worked on a car before, and this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to start offering this. I'm going to start offering FaceTime phone calls directly to me, and I can walk you guys through this stuff. And we're going to make that, there's going to be some kind of fee involved because I got to get paid for my time. Right now, you know, I make $50 an hour, so when I'm at work, so I got to figure out a way, 30 minutes on the phone with me, and we're going to make that, part of our subscription. So I think what we're going to do, if you subscribe to the channel, it's going to be like $8 a month or something like that. I'm not sure what it's going to cost you. I'm not sure. If you do that, we're going to offer a phone call per year for the first like 100 subscribers. So basically, your subscription, you're going to get a free phone call to me, direct to me, 30 minutes on the phone, talking about what your problem is. FaceTime you can take me out there, show me stuff, whatever, and I can try to walk you through this. Let me read what this guy said. He says, it doesn't unwrap the old tape. I just taped it over the old one. Now it's triple layer. I'm afraid it's getting hot than it's supposed to be, but most people said it doesn't affect anything. Wrapping it with tape doesn't affect the harness. It's just not a good repair, because what will happen, and if you're wrapping wires together with tape, absolutely not. You don't want to connect two wires with tape. That's a temporary repair if you're out in the middle of nowhere. And what can happen when I'm not sure what you're doing, but if you take two wires and you bare them, and then you twist them, and then you wrap tape around them like that, they can get hot because you start creating poor connections cause heat. So when you're doing this, it starts to create heat. So if you're doing that, definitely don't want to be doing that. If you're just wrapping the harness because there's a bad spot in the harness or something, the tape's not going to hurt nothing. It's just not a good seal because water will get in there, and over time the tape's just going to come off. The best way to do that is, like I said, with some heat shrink, and I can show you. We can do a little video and show you. Like I said, go look at my soldering video. It'll answer a lot of your questions. Okay, this guy, it's a bike harness and still going project. Sorry, I tried to write my comment as fast as I can. Okay, no problem, group Max, no problem at all. Believe love. So yeah, no problem. That's not a problem at all. Like I said, we can walk you through it. If you can, it helps if we can get, I gotta figure out a way we can get some pictures on here. But anyway, go look at my video on soldering. It will answer a lot of your questions. And if you still have questions next week, let's talk about it again so we can try to get you through that. No problem. That's not a problem at all. I don't mind doing it. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start. Let's, belt failure. Okay. Failures. Alternators fail. It's pretty common for alternators to fail. And for you to learn how to change one, you know, next time your alternator goes bad, you're going to save yourself $200 and maybe some diagnosis time. You know, diagnosis is not cheap. And the other thing is, if you're ever curious about what your charging system doing, you can just take a multimeter, go from negative, go right to that big wire on the back of the alternator that I was telling you about. And when you're hooked up with the engine running, you should be seeing 13.6 or above. If you go right there and you're seeing 12 volts or 11.5 volts, it's not charging. So you got a problem. That's an easy test. Voltmeter, negative to the battery, positive right to that big lead, that big wire we were talking about. The output wire on the alternator should have voltage right there. You can't really test amperage that way, but it's a good indication if you got a chart circuit and if it's charging or not. So that's it doesn't always mean the alternator's bad. It could be those two wires. That's what I'm going to talk about. I've seen so many people change alternators, put 2 or 3 alternators on it, and find out the 2 little wires that go in there that for the field that we talked about. Remember, there's a big wire, that's the output wire, and then you got 2 little wires, and those are the field wires. So many times I've seen those field wires broke off, or maybe this far down the harness it's broken. And a guy put 3 or 4 alternators on it, and it's never going to charge because the wire's broken in half. So use your eyes a little bit. Do a little bit of inspection. Couldn't tell you how many cars I've fixed just visually looking at them. Yeah, that just happened to your son, garden party. Yeah, that can happen. Alternators are, they're expensive too. If you have to buy a factory one, like on an import, they can be $600. So anyway, let's see. So and the other noises, you hear that from alternators a lot. It makes a noise. So alternators have a bearing in them, a front and rear bearing. Years ago, we used to rebuild them in the shops. They don't even do that stuff anymore. When I first learned, we used to take alternators off, tear them all down, put new bearings in them, put them all back together, test them, everything, rebuild them right there on the bench. But now they don't do that. No one does that anymore. So, but they have a bearing. There's a front bearing and a rear bearing, just like any other bearing. They go bad, and they'll start making a whining noise. And it'll drive you crazy. You're trying to figure out where it's coming from. The alternator bearings fail. They do fail. Another noise that can come from alternators, and a lot of guys will argue with me on this, but I'll tell you what, I'm right because I know for a fact because I've done it. Diodes in an alternator can cause a noise. If you have there's diodes in an alternator, and what a diode does, it only lacks current to go one direction. It can only go this way and not the other way. So there's diodes inside that alternator that can fail. And when they fail, usually they turn the light on the dash, your alternator light will come on. But they can also make a noise. It's a funny sounding noise. It sounds like something's rubbing. It's a high pitch kind of a squeal, and it's the diode. So a diode can cause noise in an alternator. Alternators are one of those things when you're in there cleaning your car, spraying and stuff, if you're washing stuff, don't get water in your alternator. That's not a good one to get water on. So you want to be careful with that. Rats and rub-throughs are common problems with alternators. Rats love to chew on rubber and plastic and wires. So if you have a rat issue, and they'll get in there and chew the wire in half. And now all of a sudden your alternator isn't working because the wire is chewed in half. So think about that. It's not always the alternator, but if you don't have any other way of testing it and the battery's going dead, you get it started up, you jump start it, you put a meter across there and it says 10 volts, pretty good chances are the alternator has failed. I'd say 8 out of 10 times, but it doesn't mean always. Like I said, that big fat wire that we talked about could be disconnected somewhere, or those 2 little wires that control the field could have a problem. The computer could be bad. I've seen computers make charging systems not work because the computer controls those 2 little wires now. So if you have a failed PCM, the alternator stops working. So the newer cars a lot of them are controlled by the computer now. The charging system is. Let's talk about the starter circuit. So, and I'm trying to keep this basic. Let me know if I'm being too basic, because I want to bring value to everybody. So when you get in your car and you get in it and you turn the key, I want you to understand what's happening. Because by understanding what's happening, it helps you to figure out what's wrong with it. And if you can figure out what's wrong with it and not have to take it to the shop, you're going to save yourself $200 an hour. I mean, $200 an hour. Do you realize some lawyers get $500 an hour? So the shops are getting $200 an hour now. So if you can do some of this stuff on your own and save yourself, if you save yourself 10 hours labor in the year, that's $2,000. So you can do this stuff, and I can teach you a lot of it. So here's what happens in your vehicle when you get in it to start it. You go in there, you put the key in. Some of them have anti-theft and other things going on. We'll talk about that another time. But right now, basically a basic car system with a key. What happens is you put the key in. When you turn that key, a voltage is sent from the key, usually through a neutral safety switch, so it doesn't start when it's in gear or in drive or whatever. It's a safety feature. It goes through the neutral safety switch, and then it goes out to a starter solenoid. And what a starter solenoid is, it's just an electromagnet that when you put power to it, it closes and then it applies high voltage to the starter. So it's just basically a switch. So when you go like this, power goes out to the solenoid closes, it puts power to the motor, and now the motor starts to turn. And when that motor turns, it's connected by a gear. A gear comes out, and it goes like this, and it actually turns the motor. It's attached to the crankshaft. And the reason you do that, you have to have compression to make a car run. And you can't get compression in a motor until it's rotating. So that's the whole purpose of a starter motor, is just to get the motor rotating until it starts. And when you let off the key, that little gear comes back and it just sits there until the next time you're going to start it. That's the whole way a starter works. And we can talk about relays. I don't know if you guys want me to go into detail how a relay works, but we can do that too. I thought I'd do let's just do a quick diagram, and I'll kind of explain to you how a relay works and see if we can, and we'll have another class just for, you flip this around so you guys can see. Can you guys see that right? So basically a relay looks like this. There's a lot of different types of relays, but the whole concept, this is a smaller relay, and it would be used for like a headlight or a horn, a lot of different things, AC circuit, a lot of things. So a relay has 4 pins on it. And I want to teach you guys how to wire one of these. So if you ever want to wire something up, let's say you wanted to add a set of lights to your four-wheel drive. You can't just put power from the battery to the lights, because the switch that you're using will melt, because it doesn't have enough capacity to run that much current. So what this does, you take a small amount of current to operate a large amount of current. So stick with me. So inside this relay is a set of contacts. And this is positive, and this is negative. Stick with me, it's not that complicated. They're marked 85 and 86. This goes to ground, so it basically goes to the negative side of the battery. And inside here is a set of windings, like this, and then it goes to this negative wire. Inside here, there's a set of contacts, like this. Real small little contacts right here on each end of this. And what happens is one of these wires is hooked to one side of the contact, and one of the wires is hooked to the other side of the contact. So it's basically just a switch. So this right here is usually 30. It's usually the biggest wire on the relay. And this goes to the positive side of the battery. So this is power. So power is coming up the battery. It comes up here and it's sitting right here at the end of this contact. And all it takes is for that contact to close, and then it's going to put power on this. So this is your power going into the relay, and this one right here is 87. I don't know why they use those numbers, but that's what they did. So this is how it would do. This would be the relay. Let's say you're going to wire up a set of a horn or a set of lights on your pickup, and you want to run a relay. What this does for you, you can just run these little tiny wires now, because the big heavy part is being done on the relay side. So what you can do is you take the relay, 4 wires, you hook one to power. Usually you put a fuse right here. So this would be the fuse. That way if something happens, it'll pop the fuse. So this is power going in, goes to here. This is where you want to send it. So remember, 30 is power. This is where you want to send it. This is going to be your lights. Right? So that's real easy. You just hook the number 30 to the battery. You hook the 87 to what you want to operate. Now you got these 2 wires. So you can usually what I do is I take 85 to ground. I go ahead and ground it. You can do it both ways. You can do your power or ground, but let's say that. So see how this is a little tiny wire now. So instead of having to bring this big old huge wire through the dash or whatever, you got this little tiny wire. And all you got to do now, you bring this in, you mount this in the dash wherever you want to, right? Just make that a switch, make that a toggle, right? So now you got a toggle. Now you attach this to power, right? Anywhere you can grab power, but you want it to be 12 volts right here. So now what happens is, this is how the circuit works. You have power right here. When you cycle this switch, it's going to connect these 2 wires on the inside of that switch. So this is how it goes. You move the switch, the power's sitting here. As soon as you toggle the switch, the power goes like this. And then it creates a magnetic field to ground. And that magnetic field closes those set of contacts. It pulls it down. That's why on a relay, when you attach them and disconnect them, you'll hear them going click, 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 click. That's what you're hearing. You're hearing these little set of contacts in there opening and closing. And we'll do a class just on relays, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong with a relay. And I'll tell you the one that really affects a lot of people. When you get a relay that has a bad set of contacts right here, they're burnt, and they're all kind of scored. What'll happen is you turn the switch on, you hear the relay close, but nothing comes on. You never get no power here. And what's happened is, even though the relay has power and it has a ground and you hear it clicking, nothing happens here at the contacts. So you keep scratching your head trying to figure out what's going on. And the whole problem is you got a dirty set of contacts. Here's a bit of information I'll get you that'll save you a lot of time. If you have a problem with a circuit, let's say it's your headlights. That's a good one. So let's say you go out in the morning, right? This goes to the headlights. You go out in the morning, you turn the headlights on, and you got no headlights. You got to get to work. It's dark outside. A lot of times relays fail. It's not uncommon for relays to fail. It's very, very common failure. So what you do is, on a lot of the cars now, I don't know about the imports, but GM and Ford and Chrysler, if you look inside the fuse box, it'll be like this. It might have 30 relays in there, right? Find the headlight relay. Usually it's written on the back of the cover. When you take this cover off, you flip it over, it'll give you a map, and it'll tell you which one of those is a headlight relay. So let's say it says this one's a headlight relay. Look at these other relays. The part numbers are written right on the top. And 90% of the time, they're all the same part number. So what you can do, let's say you think, okay, I'm going to at least try the relay. Maybe the relay is the problem. This is a good diagnosis. A mechanic, the first thing he's going to do, he's going to try a new relay because he knows that these things fail all the time. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're trying to get to work, find a relay that doesn't matter. Okay, let's say it's winter time and this is the AC relay. Well, you can live without that relay until you get to the part house and get another relay. So what you do is you remove this one that you think is bad, take this one out and put it there. If the headlights come on, you just fix the car. You know the relay's bad. But one thing I tell people is when you start messing with relays, try to mark the top of it with something so you remember which was a bad one and which one was a good one, because you get confused and all of a sudden you're not sure which one's which. So do you understand that? So like you can move relays around. You just find a known good relay. One I like to use, you shouldn't take it out, but because of safety, a horn relay is a good one I like to use because you can honk the horn, and if the horn comes on, you know the relay is good. So you pull the horn relay. You go to your relay that's affecting your circuit that you're working on, pull it out, put the horn relay in there. If it starts working, you know the relay's bad. You're done. If it still doesn't work, now you got to do some other diagnosis, like looking at, the component, or if you have power to it, a ground, those kind of things. But I would say a lot of the times when you get a failed circuit with a relay, relays fail a lot. It's very common for relays to fail. And matter of fact, if it was me and I relied on that vehicle, maybe I'm a single mom or whatever, and I really rely on this vehicle, open this up, find out, get the part number off of that, because you'll see there'll be like 9 or 10 of them. They're all the same number and they're interchangeable. Just go to the part house and get one. Leave it in the glove box. Always, and you have an extra relay with you. That way, if something happens, there's nothing worse than, I'm going to flip this around. I hope you guys have any questions about that? I know it's a lot to absorb all at once, but so basically, what you do is you're able to just take a known good part, a known relay, and put it in a spot of the one that you think is bad. And if the circuit starts working, you fix the car. You go get a relay, plug it in, you just saved yourself $200. Okay? These are the kind of things that we're going to teach in these automotive classes. So if you guys would share, like, do all that stuff, because it helps the algorithm. And then the super likes helps us to be able to give out nice gifts. So there's a basics of a real basic overview of electrical. We can go like a lot further than that when it comes to computer controls and all that. But just for tonight, I thought we're 78 minutes in, so that's over an hour of lecture of just me talking. So, but you can learn a lot if you just attend these lives. And I'm gonna start having some parts and stuff to show you guys. I think I'm gonna pick up a donor car, like pick up a car for like a couple $100 and just scavenge the parts off of it so we can show all this stuff as we go. And if you guys haven't been following along, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We appreciate that. We appreciate everybody that gave the likes. And if you guys want me to keep going, I thought I'd show this battery charger tonight. And I haven't figured out how to put the links on the lives before they start. We already lost a bunch of people. But anyway, I was gonna go over this NOCO charger and just show how it works. I'm gonna show you, I got a battery sitting here. This is only gonna take like 5 minutes. We got 2 people in the room now, but I don't mind. We're still gonna go over it. So this is a 1 amp. This is a 1 amp battery charger, so it charges 1 amp per hour. So if you got a 20 amp battery, it's going to take 20 hours. So that's the only bad thing about these smaller battery chargers is they're slow. But usually what they work good for is like those that just entered, I appreciate you being here. We just had a really good discussion about electrical. It was 80 minutes long. Please come back when you see us live. We're going to do some more lives. But I'm just going to go over this really good charger. It's made by NOCO, good quality product. I love these things. I got 2 different chargers by them now, and I love both of them. I've been a mechanic for 40 years. So anyway, this is a great little charger if you have motorcycles, if you have a 4-wheel drive that sits a lot, if you have, say, an ATV or something that you only drive in the wintertime. Usually what happens when you go to get on them, the battery's dead. And you either have to go buy a new battery because it's bad because it's been sitting all winter. So this is a battery charger and tender. But check it out. These things are 30 bucks. I mean, 30 bucks. That's a good deal. And you know, if you're looking for a Christmas present for somebody this year that's into hot rods or has a boat or any of that stuff, let me go over how it looks. So they got a really nice connector on them. So you can take this off so it disconnects. So let me get back some right up against the camera. And the nice thing is it's weather sealed right here with our weather, and you can get extra ones of the clamps and just leave those hooked up. And then you just walk out there with your charger and you plug it in and you're done. You plug this in the wall, you walk away. You can leave this thing connected for a year. So what it does, when you first plug it in, it identifies what type of battery it is. It can do AGM and lithium 6 volt and 12 volt in that little battery. I mean, it's that big. I can hold it in my hand. And NOCO has a good reputation for good quality products. So you plug this thing in, this little light will start to turn red and pulse, and it just stays like that till it turns green. When it turns solid green, the battery's fully charged. It's got a couple icons on it. One is for you can't hook it up backwards. If you try to hook this up backwards, it'll tell you, hey, you got it hooked up backwards. So you can't do reverse polarity or create a problem. So you can teach you can teach a 10-year-old kid how to hook this up without there being any kind of danger. So, and then it has if it's too much voltage in the battery, it won't try to charge it. It'll turn the icon on. And then, what was the other one it has? Over voltage. Oh, it has an indicator. So when you plug it in, you know you have power to it. So the way it works, and then it has an override. So some battery chargers, most battery chargers now, sorry, I keep getting too close up to the screen. Most battery chargers now have if it doesn't see at least a volt, it won't try to charge it. So these have an override. So say you have a battery that's been sitting forever, it has 0 volts in it. Because of that, it won't charge. You'll hook it up and it won't do anything. You just press and hold this for 5 seconds. And it goes into a boost mode. And it'll put some voltage in the battery. And then once it does that, then it'll start charging. So these are nice because I'm going to show you how it works. I got a battery sitting here. And we'll put some links. I don't have any links up right now. I couldn't figure out how to, so I'm going to show you like this. I'm going to plug in right here. Let me flip this around. Sorry. So I just got to plug in right here on the table. So I just want you to see what it looks like when it goes plugged in. It lights up, and then the little red light comes on to know that it's ready. So it's ready to go. So I got a battery here. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to this battery. Sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. I got it off the tripod so I can show you guys this. So I'm going to hook it up backwards on purpose. See where it's red? I'm going to put the ground there. I'm going to hook it up backwards to show you. If you look at the icon now, see that little icon came on? It's telling you, hey, you got it hooked up backwards. It won't try to charge it because you hooked it up backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and hook it up correctly. And what it does, it's pretty amazing for such a small little charger. We have about 3 or 4 of these at my job. They're bigger units than this one, but that's why I really like, well, let me show you something else on these. These things have really good connections. All copper, I don't know if you can see that or not. All copper connection with a Torx bit, so you can actually replace these if you damage one, run it over or whatever, you can replace this. Everything's nice, solid copper, and look how well insulated these are where you can't touch them very well. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up to the positive, but I'm gonna show you the charger as I'm doing it. So what it does, it self-identifies what kind of battery. So I'm gonna hook it up, and you see it lit the light up for 12 volt acid. And so, and if you wanted to change this, you just push this button, and you can change the different types of batteries if you wanted to. And when it goes to that, that means there's no power coming out the lead. Oh man, I had you off the camera, sorry. So when it goes to that, so you can cycle through the different types of batteries, 6 volt, 6 volt AGM, and it will do lithium too, which is pretty amazing. But once you see this little light right here, you know that it's in the standby mode and there's no power going to the end of the cable, so they're easy, you can move them around. So when it charges, we're just gonna go ahead and put this on lead acid 12 volt. And so what happens is, you see how that light just turned like orange? And it's hard to see on the video, but it's pulsing. So it'll just pulse like that, and then when it goes to full charge, it'll turn green. And then when it goes to solid green, it'll just sit there and monitor it as a trickle charger, as a maintenance charger. And then if the voltage goes low, it'll give it a little charge. See, it's already seeing green because this battery is almost fully charged. So right there, it would go green. And then when it's fully charged, that green will go solid. And then after that, anytime the voltage drops to a certain level, and you can have it on there for 6 months, you can plug this thing into a battery and just leave it hooked up. And it'll keep your stuff charged up. And what that does is it will keep the voltage to a point where they don't sulfate. And by not letting the battery sulfate, you're going to save yourself a lot of money, because every time you leave a battery uncharged, within a year or two, or maybe even on my motorcycle, that's why I bought that one. Every year I got to put a battery in it because it sits out all winter. I don't ride during the winter anymore. I'm a fair weather rider now. And just it seems like every year I got to put a new battery in the bike because it's not being charged all winter. And then the plates get sulfated. So anyway, yeah, if you're looking for a, let me put you back on the little thing here so I'm not shaking you all over the place. If you're looking for a Christmas present for somebody that does a lot of that has a lot of hot rods laying around and stuff, this is a great tool because I'm just amazed at the price. They're under $30. They're like $29.95, and this ain't no cheap like something that you bought off of Temu or something. These things are made by NOCO. Look them up. NOCO is one of this industry leader in chargers. So anyway, one thing I didn't show on this charger, it does. I thought this was kind of a smart thing because I always like looking at the way people engineer things, and I'm like, man, that was smart that they did it that way. So this has a 20 amp. I think it's a 20. Let me look real quick. No, this one's smaller. My other one has a 20. So I think this has like a, I can't even get the thing out. I haven't even used this one yet. So anyway, let's show it on here. This doesn't show. But it has a fuse in here. I'm not sure what it's rated at. It has a fuse in here. It's probably 2 amps. It has a fuse in here, and they're basic automotive fuses. How smart was that? So if you pop this fuse, you just take a standard mini ATO fuse, it goes right in there, and you're back in business. And it's nice that it's fused. And if you're thinking about getting one for yourself and you do a lot of that kind of automotive stuff and you're charging batteries all the time, look at that NOCO Genius 10. I just bought one, and it has a repair mode on it. So if you do get a sulfated battery, you can put it in repair mode and let it sit overnight. It'll blast the sulfation off the plates, and you can bring that battery back. It works. I've done it. I was amazed. I had a battery that had been sitting 8 months, and when I checked it, it was at 2 volts. And I put it in repair mode, let it sit overnight, and then I let it go through the charge the next day, and I didn't have to replace a battery. And that's why I'm so adamant about this. Anytime you see me bring products to you guys on the lives, it's something that I believe in. It's not just something. It's something that I use, and I've tested it and used it, and I think it's a great product. I've been doing this for 40 years. In the shop that I work in, we have 3 of these no-code Genesis 10s and a 20, I think. So they're a good product, and they're sealed really good. The Genesis, where's my? I thought I had my 10. I'll show you my 10 real quick, just so you can see the size comparison. So here's the 10, and it's a 10 amp charger, obviously, right? So look at the size difference. So in this one, you can keep this in your saddlebag on your bike. I mean, they're handy. And this one, I used to have one of those big old ones you carry around. I never had nowhere to store it. This thing fits in my drawer in my Snap-on box. You just roll it up and set it in a drawer. It's nice, and it's automatic. You just hook it up, same kind of feature. And this one, I'll go over this one next week maybe, because I already went over it once. But it has some features on it. So it has a 12-volt supply on it. So like if you want to test a fan motor, or you want to test say a headlight or something, you pulse this you hold this 7 seconds, and it'll give you 12 volts at the end of the leads, which is nice because let's say you want to check to see if the fan motor's good. You unplug it, you put this in the 12-volt supply, and you can apply 12 volts to the fan to see if it comes on or not. So it's a diagnostic tool too. $80. Sometimes they're around 100, but I got this one for $85. I mean, and they're sealed up nice, all plastic, really good leads, and they got the same style of, and I'll put some links of it. I got to figure out how to do that. I don't know why I can't figure out some of that stuff. It's my old man syndrome. Really nice clamps. I mean, really good quality, solid copper. So, they're built well. If you look at how they're built, when you get it in your hand, you'll realize, man, that's a good quality unit. And, I'm probably going to buy some of these for Christmas as Christmas gifts because they're such good units. Especially this little 1 amp one. Like I said, if you got a motorcycle or you got a little ATV or something that sits all the time, you can't go wrong with these things. And I gotta figure, I don't know, I can't figure out, maybe you guys can help me out. I can't figure out how to post on the chat on my end. So I gotta figure that part out. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. So anyway, I hope everybody got some kind of Marilyn Sivas. You were here last week, weren't you? Marilyn? You here last week? You know what? Maybe we'll do something real quick, because I don't want you guys to came here for nothing tonight. So let's do this. Here, let me show you some artwork real quick. And the artwork I do, I give it away on the lives. It's just, I don't teach artwork. We're talking about a buggy. Yeah, about the Volkswagen? Yeah, I remember you. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I turned that guy down on the Volkswagen because I have too many projects. I was going to go get it. It was a good deal. $500 for a 73 Volkswagen. Everything was there, but it wasn't a Super Beetle. And I was thinking, if I'm going to redo one, maybe I should get a Super Beetle. It'd be cooler. It'd be cooler to do that. Go look at my videos that I posted recently. I just posted a short. I went to a car show, and there we had some really nice little Volkswagens there while I was there. And I'm thinking I'd like to build a Volkswagen because I've built all kinds of stuff, but I've never worked on a Volkswagen. Let me grab some art and I'll show you this. And maybe what we'll do, I'll ask a question, and everybody that's here, the first person that gets the question right, you're going to get one chance to spin the wheel. There's only one block on that spinning wheel that says go big, and if it lands on that block, maybe we'll do a couple questions. Let's see. So let's get the spinning wheel over here. Hey, I updated the spinning wheel. For those of you that were here last week, I had some background music and stuff I was going to do tonight, and the teaching part just kind of got out of hand. Not out of hand. It's good to learn, And that's what the channel's all about, is just teaching people. Just teaching people, There's nothing wrong with giving away your knowledge. I'm watching because of my interest in automotive and motorsports. This is a good live stream. I learned a couple things here I just don't understand about relay thing. Everything else is well explained things. Yeah, you know what? We'll go over the relay again. Because once you learn relays, it's a relay is a relay no matter what. I don't care if it's this big or that big. It still works the same. Starters have relays in them. Most things, there's a lot of relays in a vehicle, but once you understand a relay, you will be able to fix a lot of things. And it's not as hard as it looks. We'll walk through it really slow, talk about the voltage, the input and the output and how it gets there. We'll go through that again. Because it wasn't easy for me when I first started. The relay was like, what are you talking about? And I had an instructor that explained it to me a certain way and the light came on. So once you get relays figured out, let me tell you guys, anyone out here that's thinking about getting into automotive repair, learn electrical. Because electrical is highly, there's a big need for it because a lot of people don't like doing it and they don't understand it. And so the shops are in real need of people that understand electrical. You can get a job anywhere you go. If you understand electrical, you'll always have a job. And it's more thinking work than it is muscle. So, you're not lifting 200-pound transmissions every day. Those little wires don't weigh much. So, and then you get paid for what you know. You don't get paid for killing yourself every day. So, think about it. If you're thinking about you're just doing this for yourself, that's fine too. Because electrical will save you a lot of money over the years. It actually will. Okay, I think what we'll do, we're going to spin the wheel 3 times. And we'll see. No Googling. You're not allowed to Google. I know, guys. I got to get my little thing. What did I do with that? Hang on. Give me a second. Because this thing is, I don't want it to land on the same spot every time. So I put a little tension on the wheel. I got a little. Give me a second. I didn't go away. I just need to get something. Get my little striker, my little tab thing. We upgraded the wheel a little bit. Last week's wheel was pretty generic, And I'll show you the artwork that we're gonna spin for. And give me a second and I'll get this thing going. Make sure it's not spinning. I'm just checking it to make sure it's not going to land on the same spot. Sometimes when you get a wheel, it wants to land in the same spot every time. Okay, it's doing good. All right, so we're going to flip you around. I'm going to show you the artwork, and then I'm going to let... There's 3 parts of this question. So whoever gets 1, 2, and 3 of the question, and we'll do another question if this one's too hard for you guys. We'll do something different. So we're going to give away 1 piece of art tonight. There's one. You guys tell me which one you want to spin for. We'll call this one pink. Obviously this one's the green. And this is what they call flow art. I do it just as a hobby. And then this one we'll call orange. You guys got any options? Which one would you rather spin for? Green, orange, or the pink? I got 1 green. Anybody else? Green. Kinioni, how you doing, brother? How you doing? Welcome to the live. You got here just in time. We're going to spin for some artwork. And so you guys know on Saturday nights, I keep saying the wrong night. Friday nights at 7, we do a live and we do trivia. It's not educational, but I teach as I'm going, educational stuff. so we can learn something along the way. Okay, green it is. We're going with green. But on Friday nights, we do an hour or two, same kind of similar thing that we did tonight, but we do trivia questions. And we keep track, and everybody's name goes on the board. And then at the end of the live, we spin the wheel, and whoever wins is going to win a tool. Either next week's a snap-on wrench. It's a user wrench, but it's a really nice, like a vintage snap-on, $40-$50 wrench. So we're going to spin for that. And then I'm hoping that if we get enough super likes, if we get enough super likes, I'm going to give away one of these. Won't cost you a thing, but we have to get enough super likes to try to cover some of the cost, because my rent's not getting any cheaper, or my utilities, or my gas for my guzzlers, or registration on my motorcycles. Get me, right? Okay, so here we go. In Ohm's law, what are the 3 letters in Ohm's law? There's 3 letters in Ohm's law. Do you know what they are? Only give one answer so we don't get confused. In Ohm's law, there's 1 letter with 2 on the bottom. Nope. There's a top letter and 2 bottom letters. What are they? I had some music to play tonight, but I messed that up. You're close, KW. It was close. And then after this, I'm going to give it 10 seconds. If we don't get somebody to answer the question, I'm going to give you an easier question, and we'll do 2 questions. No Googling, because I know you guys, you Google masters. That's cheating. I call that cheating. Okay, I'm going to teach you something right now. I feel like I should know this. You should know this, but you don't. I'm going to teach you a way to remember this that I was taught, and I never forgot about it. And my instructor taught me this. So there's a relationship between volts, amperage, and resistance. That's what they call Ohm's law. All electrical circuits are based on Ohm's law. But the letters that they use, there's an E over IR. So what that means, if you multiply IR, it'll come out to E. And we'll go through Ohm's law so you guys can understand that. But E stands for electromagnetic force, which is voltage. I stands for intensity, and that's amps. And then the R is resistance. So E over IR. So if you ever had a test, always remember the eagle flew over the Indian reservation. So the eagle is on top and the IR is on the bottom. So that's an easy way to remember that. Not that you'll ever need that, but that's the answer. Okay, I'm going to ask 2 questions. We're going to spin the wheel twice. I hope you guys win tonight. Now remember, I'm going to show you this real quick so you understand. Because I had one guy one night, he thought he won and he didn't. So if you look at the wheel, I think I'm going to unplug this cord for, I don't know, I better not. It's looking pretty low. Hang on, I better make sure I'm charging here. Come on, I'm not charging. I almost lost you guys. My charger came unplugged. Okay, we're good now. I better leave that plugged in. Give me just a second, I'll get set up. So if you look on the wheel, see where it says go big? If you land on that, you're gonna win some artwork. So you're gonna get 2 chances. And when you win like that, you don't pay for shipping. As long as you're within the United States. I can't afford to ship outside the United States. So what we'll do, we'll just spin it like this. Once you're the winner, if it lands on go big, you win some artwork. You guys ready? Be nice to get some music, huh? Hang on a minute. You guys got 2 seconds. Let's try this new music out. I got some new software. Let me give it a shot. Give me 2 seconds. Only take me 2 seconds. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm going to give a question, and whoever answers it first correctly is going to get to spin the wheel. In an air conditioning system, where is the condenser located? First answer wins. For some reason I have no volume. In an air conditioning system, let me make sure nobody answered already. The compressor, nope. Where is the condenser located? In an AC system, where is the condenser located? In an AC system, where is the condenser located? Group Max, I'm going to call that correct. It is under the hood. Hang on, I gotta try out my new How you like those sound effects? Okay. So here we go. Group Max for the green artwork. Here we go. Good luck. I hope you land on it. Go big. Oh, directly across from it. Dang it. So that's how the lives go when we do trivia, and then at the end we put somebody will win a tool at the end no matter what. Oh nope. Go big. Yeah, I wish you would. Look, we're gonna do another question. Let me pull something off the top of my head. What does PCV stand for? PCV. First answer. What is a PCV? Any guesses? Oh, KW got it right. What do you think of my sound effects? Positive crankcase ventilation. Exactly right. So KW, here we go. We're going to spin for the green artwork. Here we go. You know what? I'm going to give you a second spin because it hit the side of my laptop. That wasn't very fair. Here we go. We're going to spin again. Ah, close. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one more chance because I hate to see people not win. This will be the last one for the night, and then if you would, come back next week. Please leave a comment as you're leaving and like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. For about the HVAC. What was the answer you were looking for about the HVAC? KW, on the HVAC, Somebody got it. It was condenser and it's under the hood. So a condenser is like a small little radiator, but it actually has Freon that flows through it. And it sits under the hood in front of the radiator. Okay, let me give you a good one. That one will be kind of tough. Give me just a second. On a battery, what is the color of the ground cable? What is the color of the ground cable? There you go, KW. KW got the right answer. Black. Usually. I'm gonna educate you on that right now. Don't always look at the color of the cable as being ground, because what can happen, somebody can put a red cable on the ground and you go to grab it thinking it's the ground, it's actually the hot. So get in the habit of looking at the post on a battery. If you look real close on the battery, the positive is a bigger diameter. So get in the habit of looking at the diameter of the post on the battery. Positive is bigger. Here we go, KW. I hope you win. And then we're going to sign out and call it a night. Appreciate everybody that came here for the live. Here we go. Let's see if I can get some sound effect going. Hang on. We're going to give you one more spin just to be nice. Nope. Maybe next week, brother. Well, I hope everybody learned something tonight. I appreciate you coming to the live. We're going to keep doing these educational type lives. And if you would, subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos that we're dropping. We got some projects coming up. We got one I'm going to do on a mini bike for my grandson. We got a 92 F-250 diesel IDI that we're going to restore. We're in the process of doing that. And so we're going to have a lot of that kind of stuff coming up. And we're gonna have a subscription. I haven't decided what that's going to entail. We're going to try to have a subscription so you can schedule a phone call with me. We can do FaceTime, or we can talk on the phone. And for a fee, we're going to have that. But on the subscription, the first 100 subscriptions are going to get a free phone call for the year. So if you get a subscription, I think it's going to be like around $7 or $8 for the subscription. And then you get one phone call with me for 30 minutes to try to figure out something automotive that you're fighting. So anyway, hope everybody had a good time. I had a good time being here with you tonight. And as I always say, go big or go home, baby. Bye.